So this week's episode is one that I've been waiting to record for some time. It's taken us a while to get her on, but we got her on and she's told the story. And she doesn't leave anything out, let me tell you. The amazing Emma Doran. This series of BeBelle podcast is brought to you by award-winning skincare brand, Irish-founded, female-founded Ella & Jo by the amazing Charlene Flanagan and Neve Ryan. I will tell you more about Ella & Jo during this episode. So Emma, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like we've done half a podcast. We haven't jumped on.
We're already starting now.
I was like, Emma, I think we need to stop talking because we're having the chats and this is like gold. But listen, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, delighted to be here.
I know how busy you are because I kind of stalk you, so I know how busy you are. But yeah, BeBelle is, listen, it's all about us. It's all about people. And I suppose for me, like, I'm dying to know more about you. So where did it all begin?
Where did it all begin? So life started in Tallaght. So I'm the youngest. I have two older brothers and they're quite close in age. And then there's a gap of about 5 years and me. So the joke was, and I'm not sure how much of a joke it was, but that I was the one that was planned.
Okay. To the dot.
Yeah. I was actually planned. The other two weren't. And we were there until I was about 6. Now, I loved my road in Tallaght because there was just loads of families and kids. So I always remember being out on the road, constantly stuff going on, sale of works, you know.
Shop over here.
Yeah, competitions, right? Everything. And then we moved to Rathfarnham. So that would have been, I think, a bit of a leap for my parents.
Yeah.
I think they told me like that they tripled their mortgage. So
wow.
I'm 84. So this is just the start of the 90s. So still pretty hard to like, you know, get a mortgage and stuff like that. And, you know.
They're just coming out the other side, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
just
still
about.
There.
Yeah. And I think they had spoken to me before about banks, say when they initially bought the house in Tallaght, how difficult it was. And I think they said something like they were short £500 for the house.
Yeah.
That they were like, oh, that'd be perfect, you know, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. So we moved to Rathfarnham and devastated. Now, there was a few kids on the road, but just wasn't the same.
No.
Wasn't the same. But I stayed in so when I was in Tallaght, I was in presentation at Terranure. There was a bus that took loads of us there. And my mum thought it'd be, instead of just everything changing, she kept me in that school for a year because I was making my communion.
Lovely. So do it with your friends.
Do it with my friends. And then the following year, I joined the school in Rathfarnham. But it was kind of like, I was kind of on the back foot because then that class were making their communion.
Okay.
So there was this kind of period of time where people were either making their communions in first class or second class. So I was in a communion year again. And it was actually so funny to think back to it now. There was a couple of new girls, but they were all very tight. The majority of them, like 99.9% of them, had all been in school since they were 4.
Yeah.
So they'd say to me, who was your favourite teacher? Like, these are people I don't even know. Like, it was very, I think even at that age, I knew I was like, right, turn the showbiz on.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I shall entertain them.
Yeah, definitely. To try and basically get in with them all.
Fit in. No, it's hard.
Yeah, and there was another girl who was new, but she had stayed back. So that's always a kind of a thing that people know someone has stayed back. It certainly was then. And then I remember she had a puke in the classroom one day and I was like, she's finished.
Oh, God bless her.
Do you know, like, you even knew all the social pecking orders and all that
was
at
it
that
all
time.
girls' school?
All girls.
Okay, even worse. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I don't know any different. I only had boys in my class until first class.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
It's funny because I always went to mixed schools and all my mates, I had lots of friends.
Yes.
Like we went out with the boys from the all boys school because they were gentlemen.
Okay.
The blokes in our school were just geezers.
Yeah.
And then all my friends that went to the all girls school seemed to have a much harder time because they didn't have any blokes that they could just hide behind if the girls were being mean. And we're mean generally. Girls are not always very nice.
I think, I think sometimes for women, it's like they get so into the detail
Yeah.
of stuff. Or I think we're much more maybe choosy about who we would actually call a friend. I know my fellow would talk about, friends, and it's such a kind of an open term.
Yeah.
Whereas I think we're much more aware of how close of a friend it is, and, who called who last and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, but maybe the relationships are more intense, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think we share more.
Yes.
So then it's like someone's got a piece of me. They've got, or they know that secret, or I've given them this information about me that I might not just give to anybody.
Yeah, we're kind of...
So you're connected then, aren't you?
Yeah, they're kind of, it's almost like, I've had female friendships where I look back and I think it was kind of everything but a romantic relationship in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So intense and so involved with each other. But so then that was all grand. I got on well in that school, went to secondary school where load of us moved on to that same secondary school.
And did you like school? Were you sporty?
Did.
Were you, what was your thing?
I think I was always kind of sporty. And I was a bit of a joker, but I wasn't really loud.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to think now. I think primary school, everyone's kind of much more obeys by the rules. It's probably very much very much.
I wasn't a rule breaker.
No,
I test them.
Yeah, I wanted to get on okay. Didn't want to be getting into too much havoc, but. No, I enjoyed it. And I was sporty, and I did, bits after school and everything, and enjoyed all that. And then when I went into secondary school, the same again, but probably starting to get a bit bolder. Because even the end of primary school, I was like, I'm done with this. I remember on the last day, loads of people crying. And I was like, what are you crying about? I was like,
I want out.
We need to get out of here, guys.
Yeah.
This is stifling. So I was happy to go into secondary school. Got on well there, had mates or whatever. The academic side probably started to slip just because I feel like in primary school it's do this today and it's done. Whereas with secondary school it's a bit more
and then take them home and do it yourself and let's see how your brain works and So I haven't got time for this. Probably would have started smoking in first year. How old is first year?
13.
Oh, God. Okay, fair play.
But it wasn't nobody was pressuring me. I wanted to know about things. I really wanted to know. But my parents smoked, so I was kind of right, there's got to be something good to this. But I didn't want to get addicted because I'd already kind of seen them trying to give up and,
But smoking's so weird, isn't it, at that age? Because I definitely tried it at that age. And I was determined that I would like it because I thought it would look cool.
Yeah.
But it was just disgusting. And I'd be like, if I try a different way, it might taste nicer. So you kind of train yourself into it.
Well, it's kind of like with drink as well. Nobody has a pint and goes, that's delicious.
Yeah, I think I might have done that.
Okay.
I think it was red wine.
I still don't drink Guinness because I just never liked the taste of it. But I know people trained themselves to like Guinness. Had the blackcurrant first and then worked their way up to an actual pint. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but I do think smoking is something you train yourself into.
I feel like I think I liked it pretty soon.
Did you?
Yeah, I think I did. I was I don't smoke anymore, but just even thinking about it now, I'm like, nice crisp cold day, lovely smoke. But so I was, no, nothing crazy. And we were kind of in a few months into it, then people were starting to go to discos and stuff. And my parents didn't want me to go to discos. So began the kind of, you can't do this thing. And I did feel a sense of injustice when other people were allowed to do things, and I'd be saying to them, but so-and-so was allowed. I think they thought I was spoofing, but I was like, well, no, they're allowed, and, So then I had to I'd stay in a friend's house and go to the disco.
Okay, with the change of clothes. Tucked down the back of the school bag or whatever,
Yeah, all of it.
And when we say disco, are you talking Wesley or?
Yeah, Wesley. Yeah, Wesley. There was ones before that I kind of had missed. And then I think after a while I was like, no, hang on a second, I'm going to these discos,
Yeah.
And I actually, mad about fellas, but I had no real desire to have like a boyfriend, like a relationship.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, probably emotionally or just to be that vulnerable, I was like, oh God, like the thoughts from like calling up to my house and like meeting my
dad.
Yeah. I was just like, oh God, that's because I know friends of mine would have always been like every boyfriend they had up to the house, meet the whole family.
No, I was never into that either.
I found that really like I'd have to really, really like them to be doing that. So yeah, boyfriends, but I want like interested in boys, but not relationships. And then I think I'm trying to think of like, I was fine in school. I was probably like a C-ish student.
Yeah. And did you ever thought of like what you wanted to be when you grew up, sort of thing? Like I always say that, I was very well, I just wanted to be a hairdresser. I never was a hairdresser. Yeah. But that was my thing.
I think the thing I always remember wanting to be was, I wanted to be an actress.
Okay.
But I didn't want to say it. I felt like embarrassed to say it or, that's a bit much.
And would that be because it'd be like, oh, here's your one wanting to be an actress?
I think so, yeah.
Do you think that's changed though? Because I have a lot of friends in Dublin, been here 25 years and they all went to school together actually and all known each other since they were 4. And
you
everything.
Broke in?
I broke, there's like 20
you.
of them.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the blow-in for 15, 20, now 25 years.
yeah, the blow-in.
And still a blow-in. But I hear them speak like that sometimes, and they'd be like, oh no, I wouldn't have said that at school now because it would be like, don't get above yourself sort of thing.
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't even think it was a thing of, in my head anyway, it wasn't like oh God, you wouldn't be talented enough to do that or you wouldn't be good looking enough to do that. Because I knew that like not everyone that acted was amazing or gorgeous or whatever. I think it was just because I was always told that was the kind of thing where, you'd need to have a backup plan because you couldn't be relying on something like that. It was kind of a 1 in a million thing.
And I suppose as well, actually, we come out of recession.
Yeah. Nobody.
So everybody's like, I suppose everybody's be a civil servant, get a pensionable job and all that.
Oh that's 100% what my dad wanted me to do. Or even like, and then my mum and dad love like the showbiz and they always did, but they're so into it. And like, there's this a version of me that they don't know.
Okay. Yes.
I suppose it's surprising to them that I'm doing it, but none of it is a surprise. Like when they hear me say something or do something or whatever. But I remember I said to my dad, I was like, I want to get into television or something, or whatever. And he was like, learn Irish. He was like, learn Irish like to a really high standard because that's a great way to get in. But he was trying to think of a sensible way
TG
for me. Yeah.
Or short of presenters.
Yeah, or just that I would have Irish.
A backup.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then because he was probably thinking, right, if that doesn't happen, which it probably won't, at least she'll have the Irish. Maybe she could do a bit of teaching or,
Yes.
But I wasn't good at it. Like, he might as well have been saying to me, get fluent in Mandarin. Like, I was just like, it's not possible. It's not possible. I can't do it.
Welsh, it's the same.
Yeah, I just was like, no, this is too big of an ask or whatever. So, but I would have been very interested if I heard friends of mine, or in school, there'd always be the odd girl that was like, went and did dancing or acting or whatever, and my ears would prick up. I was just like, what? So when I was in 5th year, I opened the Yellow Pages and I started looking and I found this. I know, like, this
the
is
Yellow Pages. I love it.
Intense.
Do you remember the weight of it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was huge. I
know.
I think it was propped under many a couch that had lost a leg or something. But I got that out and I found a drama school. Now, and I knew exactly what I was doing. I was looking for one that was like an agency as well.
Okay.
So I knew like the possibility of having auditions or something. I looked this up. I found this one in Ranelagh, so not too far away. And the woman who was running it, now I can't remember her name now, but I knew who she was instantly because she had acted in Fair City.
Okay.
And I was like, right, legit.
Yeah, we know her. We don't need to look for references.
I was like, she's gotten work.
Yeah.
Grand. So I showed that to my parents and I was like, I want to do this. And they were like, yeah, fine. Now, they were always, everything that I did, like sport or whatever, it was always me going to them.
Okay.
Which I think is a great way to do it. And
I think it's a perfect way.
nothing. There was always a way to do whatever the thing was that I wanted to do. So my dad would drop or bring me out, wait there for me because there's no point in kind of like going home. And I was in my element, but also kind of quite shy because say there would have been, I think it was mostly girls, but there would have been girls that were doing it since dot or whatever, you know, but I was like, okay, no, I'm going to hold my own. So it was kind of like keeping that on, you know, keeping that to myself. That was on the back burner. That was, you know, maybe something. Then in fifth year, I think around Easter, my friend had a mobile home in Courtown.
Okay.
And we went down for, how long did we go down for? Maybe like a few days over Easter. And I was just like, I need more of that because we know parents. We do
freedom.
Total freedom. We got the bus down. I think we went into a pub the second we got off the bus, like just waltzed into a pub, no questions asked, pissed, and then went over to the shop and did our shop for the few days that we were there.
Brilliant.
We bought absolutely, you know, we're in
crisps.
Oh, it's like 4:00 in the afternoon and we're there with sunglasses on in the supermarket, like. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, crisps and chocolate.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's it.
And we kind of get back and we're looking in the bags going, what did we even buy? Like we've no toilet roll, we've no nothing or whatever. So we did that and we had a great time. And I convinced my friend, I was like, we need to go back. So we went back during the summer for a bit and I was like, we need to go back again. I'm not saying I forced her into it, but it was definitely me pushing this whole thing. I was like, why don't we get jobs and just be here for the whole summer? So that's what we did. She got a job in Pirates Cove, which is like a adventure.
I have been there once. Yeah.
Crazy golf and all that jazz. And then I got a job it was a restaurant, / chipper.
Okay.
So some of my shifts would be in the chipper, some would be in the restaurant. And we could walk to our jobs and whatever. And my job was definitely the better job because I got fed.
I was going to say you would have got your staff meal.
Got my staff meal. That was kind of my meal for the day, basically. And she was kind of dealing with kids in a ball pit and she had a tuck shop. You know, she was living on Kit Kats and Whispers.
Yeah. Bless her heart.
Yeah. When you're at that age, I mean, it doesn't matter, does it?
Oh, yeah, no.
So we started living up the life of Riley. I met a guy down there who was from Wexford. He was from Gorey. And I was like, oh, I like the look of him. I think I met him when I was working in the chipper on like Leaving Cert results night. Oh my God. I've never seen anything like it. And I got, there's like, you know, in a chipper menu, there's so many options.
Oh yeah.
I just decided that I was just going to give people burgers and just charge everyone the same because I was like, I can't do this. And no, there was no complaints.
So there was no battered sausage or steak and kidney pie it was just like, you're having a burger.
I would do a battered sausage, but if somebody said, can I get a quarter pounder or can I get a whatever burger? I was like, these burgers are all the same. You know, like,
you'd be grand.
I was like throwing any old burger in and saying, there you go. So I met him and then I was kind of like seeing him down in Wexford. Went home then because I had to go into sixth year. You know, went back for September. Now, I was always going to go back. I wasn't going to not finish school.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, I was grand in school. There was no reason to, like, not finish it out and do the Leaving Cert and everything. But we had said we'd keep in touch. We had each other's numbers and we'd visit, you know, I'd visit him. He was going, even though he's my age, he was going to college now. Right, so he'd already done his Leaving Cert or whatever. So, like, we'd keep in touch, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm home and I think I was getting like exam papers. So I think they still do it where they have these, you probably get them online now, but these mock exam papers they could buy. And often that would be our homework kind of thing. And I remember I got a period, but it wasn't really a real period. It was very short and whatever. And I was like, something's off. And I said it to my friend Laura, who I went to Wexford with. I was like, something's not right here. She's like, yeah, you'll be fine. And she's like, oh, it's not your time. And I thought that I had been careful.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Don't we all, yeah.
And, but obviously at that age, I had no idea that I was like the most fertile thing going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look at me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big roundy hips and everything. So fertile. So she's like, no, but I just had a kind of a feeling. I was like, oh no. So I went into town, into Stephen's Green Shopping Centre by myself. And I said, I'll get a pregnancy test. I didn't want to do it around everyone because it was it was quite serious because I was kind of like, oh, I think have a feeling about this. You know, it wasn't the kind of thing that I wanted to do, like, oh, let's go to so-and-so's house and all do a group activity.
No.
I was like, I'm keeping this private. Went off, got a test, went to the toilets. You know, the toilets you have to pay.
Oh, yeah. In the brass thing in the top. Are they still there?
I was actually there the other week, but now it's tap.
20 cents. Oh my God.
You can tap with your card.
Yeah. That saves you going to the shop and asking for 20 cents.
I know, yeah. So I obviously had me 10p or whatever, went in, did the pregnancy test. And what I didn't realise was, or I wasn't expecting, when I took the test, it came up positive so quickly. Because I know you just kind of see it in movies where they put it to one side.
And they wait and wait.
And they wait and they're like, you know, kind of going, oh, I can't wait any longer or whatever. Like there was no wait. I could see it straight away. And I've joked about it or whatever, but I describe it as like I pulled a cat's later. Like I slid down the wall. And I thought that was fake. I thought that was something that only happened on telly.
Yeah.
But like, I think it was literally like my legs just went. And I'm sitting on the floor and I go, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I got rid of the pregnancy test really quickly, put it in the sanitary disposal thing, kind of like 5-second rule kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like just get rid of it. And just kind of marched to I just needed to get out of that space. And then I saw a girl who I went to school with she didn't spot me, but I spotted her. She was with her boyfriend and they were all kind of like very like cute teenage couple, all loved up, chatting and laughing with each other. And I'm looking at her going, I'm such a thick. It's like, look at her. I was like, she's probably having sex all the time with this boyfriend. And here's me getting caught, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, she's so clever. I'm so stupid. And so I went home and then that was the start of like a couple of months of just like denial.
So how long did you keep it to yourself?
I actually didn't keep it to myself. I told my friend Laura straight away. God love her. She was like getting everything from me. You know what I mean? Because she's kind of sitting there going like, geez, thank God I got away scot-free. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. It's always one.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God. She's everything. And it actually as well, I think her brother had gotten his girlfriend pregnant. So she's like,
getting it from all angles.
She must have been traumatized, thinking like
sex for 10 years.
Yeah, it's contagious or something. But I think maybe about 2 months-ish before I told my parents, because now that felt like a lifetime. But I think I was kind of like, right, there's no point. I can't continue to hide this. Or, you know, the way even when somebody is pregnant and they could be like wearing a jumper or whatever, even it's so quickly your body changes, like that your stomach feels hard and you're just like, oh, boobs. You just, you know what I mean? Like even I think like if you, in the early stages, if you saw somebody in their underwear, you'd probably know that's a pregnant stomach rather than just a stomach or whatever. So I decided to tell them. But I told my mom and I wrote her a letter because I just actually felt it was so hard to say it physically, like for the words to come out.
Yeah.
I'd go to try and say it. I said, no, that's not working. So I wrote her a letter. And the letter was really kind of like, it was kind of like an A4 page, maybe like page and a half. Because I was very aware of like also then kind of admitting to her of I've had sex. You know, like.
Yeah, you're really giving it all.
Oh, Scarlett. I was like, oh God. So I wrote her a letter, left it and kind of said, oh, I'm going out. And I went across to Laura's house to plague her a bit more. And then my mom came over pretty quick. And I was like, and the door went and I was like, oh shit. And I hadn't told Laura I've left a letter or whatever. Bless. I'm just kind of going around the house like with eyes on stalks going, yeah, how are you today? Looking chill. Yeah, looking chill. Like, yeah, let's chill. Totally, let's watch TV. I'm totally fine. And so Laura had no idea what was going on. She's like, and the door went, I was like, that's my mom now. And I went out to her and she just gave me a big hug. And she just said, oh, I love you. You know, everything's going to be fine. Come home when you're ready. So that was like the beginning of it being real. And so I only just stayed for, I'd say, a few minutes and I was like, well, I better go over. So she went into total action mode, like going to her GP, going to the school, going to like anywhere that you could kind of find help or empathy or whatever. So then after a while, then the plan became, when the dust settled and everyone kind of came to terms with like the new reality. The plan was, right, Emma will have the baby and go to college. Have the baby go to college. Because I was very aware of, I didn't want to like repeat my leaving cert.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I was ready to kind of get out of school at that point.
Yeah. Well, you were going to become a mum and responsible for another human being.
I just felt like it'd be so kiddie to kind of still be in school, because as well, I'm now still going to school and wearing my uniform, and I'm pregnant, and it just feels kind of degrading. Do you know what I mean? And I remember one day a teacher, now I'm pregnant, like the school knows I'm pregnant, everyone knows I'm pregnant, and I was still going home at lunchtime. So you did an hour for lunch, and my house is only 15 minutes away. So you could walk home, get a quick something to eat and head back. And it was kind of nice to...
And what year was this, Emma?
This 6th year.
Yeah, what year?
Oh, what year? Sorry, 2000. So say my daughter was born in 2003. So say this is 2003.
Yes.
You know, by the time I'm kind of showing or whatever. But I was like a bit slower walking. And then just, you know, like the constant kind of, you'd stand up and like, just go to the toilet. So I had the new thing now of when I would get to the school, I'd have to go to the toilet before I'd go into the class. And so did that, went to the bathroom, went into class, and the teacher had only just started calling the roll, and she said, Emma, you'll have to go and sign in, you're late. And I think actually everyone in the class just went, what are you doing? And I went up to, because I had like, you know, a book where you signed in if you were late.
Yeah.
And one of the year heads met me, and she could see I was upset, and she was like, oh, Emma, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, Miss So-and-so told me that to sign in there because I was late. She's like, don't mind that stupid bitch. And I was so happy. I was like, you know, I didn't say to her. There's a human being in front of me. Yeah, I had a kind of a hunch.
Yeah.
She was being a bit of a stupid bitch as well. So glad you said it. So there was there was loads of like fab teachers.
Yes.
But there was, you know, there was a bit of that.
There was one.
Yeah, there'd be some of that from somewhere or whatever. So I think after Easter, I didn't go back to school. I decided, you know, just physically, this is too much. And I tried my best to study at home. And, you know, you're kind of flat out going to appointments. Every time you turn around, you're going to a new appointment. And then I had my daughter in May. She was a couple of days late. And to me, all I'm thinking about is the leaving cert.
Yeah.
I remember I said to them in Hollis Street, it was my last appointment and it was on my like due date. And I was like, do you want to like keep me in, or because I'm due today? And they're like, oh, don't worry. It's like, sure, your due date could be 2 weeks one way, 2 weeks the other way. I'm like, yeah, I had the leaving cert though. And she's like, oh, don't worry. Plenty of girls have done their leaving cert in here. And I felt like, you know, headbutting her. I was just like, you know, because to me, my focus was kind of, if I can manage to have the baby and get the leaving cert done, at least I can put that behind
you
and move on. It was just so mentally, it was so important to me to close that chapter and not have to just redo it and, you know, whatever. So I had my daughter Ella, and then 13 days later went back to the school to do the leaving cert.
Okay.
And got through all that. I think the first day when I went back, because I hadn't even really sat down to write in so long, I remember sitting there and they gave me my own little room. So it was kind of a thing where if you'd been sick or something, you could get your own private room, which sounds great because you think, oh, that's like, that's kind of nice. But I actually ended up feeling so isolated.
I was going to say, did you not feel, isolated or like you'd done something wrong? Or?
Yeah, I kind of felt like, I knew it wasn't a trouble thing, but I kind of felt like a bit more of an alien than I already felt.
Okay. Because
everyone was going into this room, not everyone, but you know, like people are going into this big, huge room, and I'm like, oh, see us. And it just, I think it would have made the transition kind of coming back to my peers more difficult.
I gotcha.
You know, and even that, I feel like they kind of felt like, oh, better leave her be. You know,
I completely. I remember. I I didn't get into one grade or something. So they two of us we could work in this back room whilst they were all doing French. And we used to feel like that. Like isolated. It was like we were separate.
Yeah, different.
It was only an hour a week of class, but it just, we kind of, exactly that. You felt different, like you'd done something weird or...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or even like, you know, the little thing before you do an exam, if you're in an exam hall, you might look at your friend and go, how are you? Like, just give them a smile. You're not obviously doing any of that.
Just staring around the room.
You're just staring around the room, yeah. So at the start when I went in, I did have a moment of panic because I'm just looking at it going, oh God. Like the first one you do is English paper 1.
Okay.
And it's very much like you're told in school, like, you need to open that exam and get cracking ASAP. Like, you've no time to spare. You've got to read it again, and then you're writing for your life. And, you know, it's like the whole thing is your arm will be falling off you and everything. So I was just like, what time is it? I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I was like, right, come on, try and do something. So I got through it all. And then I'm at home. So it's a case of like, when I come home then from doing an exam, my mum hands Ella to me because she was very like, I don't want to take over.
Yeah.
I don't want to take, like, basically, I don't want to steal motherhood away from you just because you're young.
Yes.
So I would literally just walk in the door and yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. She's handing me dinners.
Yes.
She's handing me clean knickers and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was like,
you need to work that bit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needs to
I can help with the rest.
Yeah. I'll do the rest of her for her and, you know, support her in that way, but I won't take her.
That's great.
Yeah, it was a really sensible thing to do.
And what about the dad? I want to say thank you so much to Ella and Joe, our sponsors of this episode of BeBelle Podcast. Ella and Joe is all about bringing a joy and vibrancy to skincare. Each product is inspired by nature and boosted by science, designed to deliver the most amazing results, but also to be kind to your skin. It is luxury moments that brighten up our day. And as always, I want to bring it back to me with my 2 hero products. The 3-in-1 Hyaluronic Spritz, it stays in my bag all the time. And if you haven't tried Melt Away, then it's a must. It's the most beautiful cleanser. And don't forget, all BeBelle listeners can get 20% off all full-size products online. Just use the code BeBelle at checkout. So thank you, Ella and Joe, for sponsoring this series of BeBelle Podcast.
So the dad, so he knows everything, you know, he took a really long time to tell his mum.
Okay.
I suppose easier for him because he's away. He's obviously not going to have the physical thing. So he eventually told his mum. I think even my mum spoke to him and was like, you're going to have to tell her. Then it was decided, because he kind of had left it so late, that he would come to see her after I had done the leaving cert.
Okay.
Do you know, because like, okay, look, this has gotten
enough going on.
This has gone crazy now, whatever. Yeah. But there's like communication with him and his mom and all this, and my mom chatting to his mom and stuff like that. But it's not like he, you know, it's not like he kind of lived down the road or, and he actually, I told him, I think he was actually the first person I told.
Okay.
Because in my head, I thought that's the most important part. Like I just, this kind of moral kind of thing going on in my head. Like, no, I have to tell him first or whatever. He needs to know. But sure, he had no idea what to do with the information at all.
No, but he was a child. Well,
he
was
do you know what I mean? Yeah, totally. Maybe I was hoping that he'd have something fantastic to say.
Some input.
Yeah, something.
But he was a man.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
That wasn't going to happen.
Sure, what did he do? He just said, what are you going to do?
Yeah. You shit.
Yeah, do you know?
Thanks, yeah.
Because, it's people looking at women going, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No one's looking to the man to say, what are we going to do?
You don't have the answers, but he rang his mum. Well, didn't ring his mum quick enough.
No, it took a while. So, so all that was going on. And then I was in college in the September.
Yeah.
So I got enough points. I wasn't happy with it, my points that I gotten. I remember you had to actually go and physically get them. Then you couldn't get them online. You had to go up to the school. So even that, it sounds so funny. I was so, it was so strange after the summer that I had, this like, is it August or something, to walk up to the school by myself. I had no buggy or anything.
Yeah.
I was like, this is, this is so strange. And I got the results and I wasn't happy. I felt like I could have done better. And I think she rang me to say, oh, how'd you do? And I think I'm just all emotional on the phone. Like, oh, I got 335, like, oh, fuck, whatever. But she's delighted because she's like, oh my God, she's actually after getting something she can do something with.
Yeah.
She's like, Jesus Christ, that's like, but she can't really fully go that route because I'm so upset or whatever. But like, I got like my second choice. And then I said, you know what, maybe my first choice was English Media and Cultural Studies.
Okay.
So it's so funny. That was
sounds
me.
Awful.
Yeah. It would have been so much reading.
Yeah.
But that was me trying to do a sly media course with something sensible.
Yeah.
Even then,
when
I think about it, I'm filling that out when I'm like 6 months pregnant. I'm still like, English Media and Cultural Study. Like, so funny.
Yeah.
Like,
my dad would like that, but I like it too.
Yeah. Because I'd heard that was like kind of a sneaky way of getting into television and stuff. I was like, grand, okay. So I got the second one, which was Business and Arts Management.
Okay, that's cool.
So still kind of, I had the business side, but you know, the arts side of it as well. So I was still...
Meeting the right people?
Exactly. Still wasn't giving up hope. Like,
you were a networker, girl.
I think for now. So yeah, I got the second one and then started college in the September.
Yeah.
So that was fairly intense because whatever about the uniforms and you're kind of hidden. And I know like the majority of these girls I've known for years and you know, they already know the story. Now I'm meeting a whole lot of new people who don't know anything about me. How do you tell people that you have a child when I look like a child? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I looked pretty young. So that was kind of like, I was like, oh yeah, this is a whole other thing. And obviously then as well, I had to kind of figure out about like meeting guys.
Yeah.
You know, and watch their reaction and just very interesting. But I definitely felt like a total alien in college. Because the majority of, I think we had one mature student in our class who was like in her 20s.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like her 20s.
Yeah.
And
old.
So old, yeah. But I really wanted to because, say my mom was at home now minding Ella. And there were long days and whatever. But I really didn't want to take the piss. I really wanted to just get that degree because I knew people were making sacrifices for me to be there.
Yeah.
So like that, I was getting that degree.
Super support system.
Oh yeah. I don't know how you would do it with a child that young.
Yeah.
And this, I think as well, like there was no childcare. So I got a small-ish grant that I didn't know about until like I was kind of well into college. But like, I mean, it would have paid towards maybe a bit of childcare, but nothing really. And I think as well, like Montessori was only really kind of
just starting,
kind of getting going in Ireland. And, you know, like even now, I'm sure it's so difficult for people trying to find childcare, access childcare, or trying to make it work where they're like, okay, I want to keep my job and I want to keep my career, but like this is kind of working out the same.
I think that's why most people, I work and spend all my time with women that work for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why.
Yes.
Because they get pregnant and go, this can't work.
This can't work.
So I'll start my own business and I'll do it that way.
Oh, I even remember when I was working. So I would always have done like kind of tried to have worked for myself. But then when it came to wanting to buy a house, I was like, right, I'm going to have to try and get like a job.
Yeah.
To keep the bank happy or whatever. When COVID happened, the first lockdown where they're like, you're going home for 3 weeks, I skipped out the door. Because there wasn't even really a culture of people working from home. I was a copywriter.
Yeah.
I 100% could have done my job from home and had a much better quality of life. You know, like, I mean, everyone was freaked out. I literally was so happy to leave. I was like...
I have been known to say I could do with like a little lockdown.
A little lockdown.
Like that's in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Like, I know. Every now and then I just look at my
lockdown.
I wouldn't mind. Do you remember that first one? It just for 2 weeks. It's just for 2 weeks. And I thought I was going to go mental. Yes. And then I was like, hang on, Jesus Christ, this is amazing.
Oh yeah, I loved it because I was doing this thing where, so I have 2 boys now as well as Ella. My 2 boys were in school and I worked out a thing with my boss. And this took a lot of courage for me to even ask this. This like, when I think of it, so ridiculous. I asked him, could I start work at 9:30 and take a half an hour lunch so I could bring them to school, pop onto an electric scooter and go like the 7 kilometres. Ireland does not have the climate to be travelling 7 kilometres on an electric scooter, I can tell you from experience. And then have a half an hour lunch just so I could bring my children to school.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a copywriter. What work am I possibly doing
that needs you to be at the desk at a specific time?
Who has sold ad space?
Yeah.
Overnight. It just doesn't, sales doesn't work like that. It's like on a Friday afternoon. There's not like...
And who were you working for?
I was working for a radio station.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. So now you see as well, I was trying to keep it creative and I was doing sketches with them as well. And, I was always trying to, in some way, try to keep some sort of creative something going. So my first job out of college, so I got my degree.
Yeah.
That was all great. I think it was 4 years. My 4th year was the only year I got a 2-1. All the other years I got it at first, but I think I was just like, I'm done now. And I was kind of coming back to myself.
Yes.
Do you know? I gotten through I suppose like most parents, I gotten through those hard years of parenting. Not that it's not all hard or not all good, but you know what I mean? Like the intense.
The dependency.
Yeah. The physical kind of, sleep deprivation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I've gotten through all that. And I said, all right, I'm taking the summer. I had a job in a pub as well, like evenings. So you pop her to bed. And I think a couple of nights a week I'd be working in this pub. I got a job in Rathfarnham, an office job in Rathfarnham, because I literally would go on job.ie and I'd do, the location.
Yes.
I'd do Rathfarnham. I remember my friend slagging me. She was like, I think you're going to have to like spread this out a bit further.
Yeah.
Like, this is... Do you know what I mean? I was like, no, I'm thinking of childcare. I want to be able to have dinner with Ella, all this kind of thing. I'm in that job for about 6 months. It's like they're selling phones to businesses. And then I got a job in Dublin South FM.
Oh, how weird. Exactly where we are.
What happened was, because I was a single parent and I was still on lone parents allowance because I wasn't earning, it kind of... It diminishes or increases depending how much you're earning.
How many hours you work.
So you can kind of like get started in a job and build it up, and it's not a big like, oh God, that payment is gone or whatever. And I was saving all of this money because as far as I was concerned, I was like, I'm going to be single for my whole life probably. How I want to be able to one day buy a house in Dublin. So I was like this little squirrel. And you see, like, I wasn't doing the Australia or the J1 or, I was pretty sensible with money from the word go. But I got a job in Dublin South FM. It was kind of like a FOSS course. It was community employment.
Okay.
So I qualified for it because I was a lone parent. So I came in and I did like the news, and I think I had a program as well.
That's class.
And I got trained up in the radio station. But then what I was able to do was you got time where you were still technically employed by the radio station, but you could go and do work experience.
Brilliant.
So I did work experience in East Coast FM.
Okay.
I did a show of, a voice reel in here in the radio station, sent that out, got this. And now I was terrible at presenting the news. And I knew that myself because I always hated reading out loud in school.
Okay.
I don't mind public speaking.
And it's just there in front of you.
Yeah.
You have to read, yeah.
If I have to read something,
I'm the same.
Dodge. I think what I did was, and I think in the community radio station, it was kind of fine because you could do a few trial runs, or, you could pre-record a segment of it if you wanted, 5 minutes before or whatever, but it was all grand. But I was like, obviously I'm well down the pecking order, and they're saying, oh, we'll give you a go doing the live news. I think basically, just to describe how bad I was, the football player Tevez had scored a goal. I'm doing it at weekends, obviously you're doing the shifts now people don't want to do. I'm talking about the football player Tevez, and I'm there broadcasting live. And I say Therese because I just see it and I know it's not Therese, but I know I have to say something. I just go, Therese scored a goal for Liverpool. I was like, ugh. So it wasn't for me, but it kind of, I know, ridiculous. But it gave me a taste of, maybe I can try and sneak in somewhere somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'd done production jobs, like a runner and all that. But the problem with that was I had done them on productions, on shoots.
Okay.
And it just wasn't feasible because my mom would be like, what time you finished at? And I'm like, I don't know. Or, we're out in Athlone tomorrow. I was like, this isn't going to work. And I got a job then as a runner in a post-production Windmill Lane.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, well, at least that's better because at least with post-production, there's actually hours, So that's kind of what I did for years where I'd kind of try and get some sort of...
How did you get in though? Because I've just got visions now of you running and then just taking me 5 minutes or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I trained as a dance teacher when I was a kid and, I was going to be a choreographer and all this, and I'd be like, how'd you get in? And I'd be like, do I just dance my way in there?
Do you mean to comedy or to where? The runner.
Yeah.
It was actually the radio station.
Well, from there though, from running, how do you go, actually, comedy is the thing for me and this is how I'm going to maneuver that?
So say from running in a I think I knew myself. I wanted just to be around something.
Okay.
And I hoped that somebody would kind of say to me, you're great. Let's put you in front of the camera. Let's get you doing something. And that would have been a perfect scenario for me because I wouldn't have had to have been vulnerable and I wouldn't have had to have said, this is what I actually want to do.
Okay.
In the radio station, they gave you a bit of funding for a course. What did I do? I did a television and production course. I put half the money up myself. And at the end of that, you could do a show reel.
Okay.
That's what I did. And I started sending that show reel to anyone's address that I could find. While I worked in Windmill Lane, actually, I used their franking machine. Sorry, guys, but whatever. But I found out, I was always fascinated with all the production companies, who all the people were. I sent this show reel out to people. I'd watch the credits. I was doing it anyway, but I'd watch the credits to see who all the people are. I'd go on LinkedIn to find out who people were. And I think, I could be lying to say one, but there was only one that gave me a positive response.
Okay.
And a guy said to me, I'd seen he'd produced like Head to Toe. I don't know if you remember that show.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, you're really funny. He said, you should do sketches. He's like, because I did a kind of funny presenter reel.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I did sketches with Laura and this other girl who we grew up with, Isabel. She had a camera.
Okay.
And she liked filming. So while I was in this admin job, so Windmill Lane they only let runners kind of stay so long. Then you've got to move on.
Yeah.
Or do you want to work in post-production? Okay. I didn't get offered a job in post-production, so I was out in my ear. I got this admin job. I wrote some sketches while I'm in this admin job. Everyone was getting a copy of the script, because I had a printer right there. So I was a great producer because I was able to organise all the times, how everyone was getting where, when we were going to break. I had the whole thing mapped out.
Brilliant.
So I think I wrote about 5 sketches. I said, I told them, this guy's interested. I was like, let's do this and we'll send them to him. They're like, cool, whatever. They're like up for doing something different. We send him the sketches and he comes back to us and he asks us to audition for a TV show. And we're like, oh my God. We're like, I can't believe how quickly this has happened. And my friend who has filmed them wants us to put them up on Facebook, the sketches.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, we're not. That's a terrible idea. And she's like, no, we should put them up for people to watch. I was 100% dead set against it. So what she did was she set up a Facebook page called Sketchy Productions.
Okay.
And she posted the videos. And not all at once, I think, kind of spread out. And that was the Facebook page that ended up being my Facebook page and whatever. But I didn't start it. I was like, that's just scarlet, disgusting. Anyway, went to the audition. We're sitting in the reception in RT, and I'm like, God. Now, my life has moved on. I've met someone. We're having a great time. And I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant when I do these sketches because I was like, it was a real kick. Because I was like, right, Ella's 10. Here I am. I'm pregnant again. I'm happy now. I'm set up by, I'm an adult. I'm a fully functioning adult. But 10 years have gone past now, and I haven't done a whole lot getting any closer to this little dream. I've done little bits and pieces, but I haven't really fully put myself out there and said, this is what I want to do. You know, I've been too embarrassed or whatever. I was like, I actually need to put myself out there. You know, instead of thinking all these ideas. So that was the thing that had kind of pushed me to do the sketches, and you know, and I'd say it was probably like, yeah, okay, grand, you know, put them up or whatever. We went for the audition. I don't think it was scripted. I think it was just kind of improv, because basically what he was doing was, it was some sort of like one-off prank show, pilot thing or whatever. I went and did it and I got it, but then he says, oh, we're filming in May, blah blah blah. I'm due my son Joe in May.
Oh my God.
So I kind of hid the pregnancy in the audition, just wore like floaty clothes and whatever. Because not that I wasn't going to tell them I was pregnant, but I was like, they don't need to know everything now.
We'll wait and see what they think first.
Exactly. So he's like, well, look, don't worry, we'll totally make it work and whatever. And I'm kind of saying to him, like, I've had a baby and got to work straight away. I was like, I can do it. I was like, this is like a day filming.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of like,
I'm ready.
I'm not saying it to him, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I did the leave with her. You know, I'll be grand. Trust me. You know what I mean? Give me like 1 or 2 days, whatever. And it's only a day filming, because he's got different people to do, you know, different things. Totally blanks me. Doesn't return my calls.
God.
And because this is the only kind of nugget of, you know, I'm like,
this is your hope.
Yeah. This is like, here we go. This is my one chance to get in, to do something. Even I remember I messaged him and said, I've had the baby, whatever. Didn't get back to me. And I was devastated, because I was like, I've scuppered that now. He's obviously, I've lost that contact. He's not talking to me. He's making comedy in RTE. I've now got 2 kids. You know what I mean?
And did he do it with someone else?
Yeah.
Okay. God.
Yeah.
And you had to watch that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was devastated.
Oh.
Now I look at it and think, oh, big deal.
Yes.
But at that time...
Oh, absolutely. It's the ghosting bit I don't like.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a real issue with ghosting. Anybody that knows me knows that I do.
Yeah.
I just think it's just ridiculous and so rude.
Yeah. I'm like, you know, I'm heavily pregnant.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, any chance you can fucking get back to me, just so.
Only joking.
I'll tell you. I'll give you his address. I'll tell you his wife is. I'll tell you where she works. And I've since worked with him.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Probably wouldn't work about it. No, nothing.
Did you bring it up?
No. Still
I couldn't. I would have had to.
Still, now I would.
Yes.
Now I would.
Yeah.
And now I wouldn't work with him again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I just think it's funny. And I say, you know, and it's nice because, well, not nice, but his wife has since had a child, you know, their child and everything.
So now he has some understanding.
Yeah. And he was like, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But yeah, so devastating. So I kind of thought, but in fairness to him, one thing he had said to me was, he was very enthusiastic with me and everything. And I think that's kind of just what I needed. Yeah. Somebody who actually worked in telly to go, you're great. Like, you should give it a go. Like,
yeah.
And I had never had that before because I just, you know, I hadn't been putting myself in front of it. And he had said to me, you should do stand up. And I said, I put that in my head and thought, yeah. So when my son Joe, and now having Joe was a great experience because, you know, I had 10 years of parenting behind me.
Yeah.
This was all planned. It was lovely. And don't get me wrong, Ella was great as well. And I was lucky that I really fell into motherhood quickly and loved it. And I mean, now I'm at the point where I don't want any more babies. And this is the first time in my life I've ever been broody. I've never had a chance to be broody. And I'm looking at babies going, oh my God, but I don't want any more. But I love being a mom.
Yes.
And I've always been lucky with like pregnancies and how I've always had that nice, all those lovely endorphins after where I've been just like, let's paint the house. You know, I've been one of those people. But I think he was about 6 weeks old, and I was like, I'm gonna sign up for stand-up comedy. And my partner Shane was like, what? He thought I was having a breakdown or something, but he was like, okay, cool, whatever. So what we actually did, and I think he was nervous for me. We were just like, what is she thinking? The week before I was due on, we went to this comedy club. I hadn't really been to comedy club. You know, this is like on a Tuesday night or whatever. We went
open mic sort of thing.
Open mic, yeah, totally. We went the week before to see what the story was. So now my thinking of you going to do stand-up, I had no dreams or aspirations of, I'm going to be doing, Vicar Street in 6 months' time, or I had no concept of any of that. All my thinking was, maybe I'll meet some funny people.
Yeah.
Maybe some other people that want to maybe do funny stuff, or they're looking for a writer for a day, or just kind of try and, there must be some sort of scene. Let me see if I can find out what this scene is. So we went the week before to watch it, and I was like, I actually think I'll be okay, because the standard was so hit and miss. It was actually the best thing I could have done.
Yeah.
Because there was some people were good at it, but some people were horrendous. And the thing that I hadn't anticipated was the audience was actually quite nice to them. The worst thing they did was just not laugh.
Yeah.
Do I thought it would be like, people would be like, boo, and shouting and throwing chairs and all. And
I've been to a couple like that though as well.
Have you?
Yeah,
yes,
I've been to both. I've been to both.
There are both. And I've definitely been at all types. But that kind of made me go, fine. Like the audience was
the worst that can happen?
Well, exactly. That's kind of the way I looked at it. I was like, the worst that can happen. And I was like, I'll kind of keep it to myself. I was like, it'd be fine. So I went along the following week. Now, the people who run the gig, they do kind of say to you, tell your friends. So there is a pressure, because obviously they
want to bring people
they have to
along.
fill the room. So I think I put a thing up on Facebook maybe like the day before, or that day. I'm doing this bite. So one of my friends came, and I didn't know she was coming. And then my friend Laura, her brother actually came with his girlfriend. Yeah. And that was it. They had obviously spotted it and go, come on, we'll head in here and have a look at this. And so I went along. I was well early, and I'm kind of announcing to the barman, I'm here for the stand-up. And he's like, great, good for you. I have to go get a keg. Like, it starts in about 2 hours. And they do a whole load of people at those open mics, usually. And I think I was like probably 7th or 8th on. Yeah. And they do a competition at the end where the audience vote the best person. And I won. And I was like, oh my God, brilliant. And there was other comedians there who I started trying to hound for information. I was like, so what do you do now? Or where'd you go? Who'd you contact or whatever? And there was a great comedian, Joe Dowling was there. And he told me, he starts going, this club, that club. He's like, get off Facebook. That's how people went about getting gigs then. Message them on Facebook, whatever. Tell them that. He's like, send them a picture of you got a cert. This. He's like, tell them that you won this or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So I went home totally energized. And I was like, oh my God, I won, and blah, 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 blah. Couldn't believe
This
it.
is it.
And still no like big dreams, but I was like, this is the thing. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. But like, not even a case of like, no, it's not like I got any money or there was any hope of any money. It wasn't, there was no money on the cards, but I was like, I'm going to do this. And then that's how that started. I just got obsessed with doing that and getting better at that. And I was 29 at the time.
Wow.
And now I'm 40.
But doesn't it, well, this is, it's so important because people just think it happmes. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't just happen.
It doesn't.
You craft it.
It doesn't happen. And you know what it is actually as well? I don't have to say acting in particular or whatever. As a young Emma or whatever, teenager, I'd be constantly reading these interviews from all these people saying, I just fell into it. I just fell into it. And I'm now adamant that is the biggest load of shite ever.
I agree. Like,
you might slip into something for a millisecond, but you don't fall into like a career. You then make the choice to stay there and get more work and start networking and start talking to people. And, because if you didn't, you could just slip out of it again.
I think you said earlier, I was hoping that at some point someone would just say to me, oh, you're really good. It doesn't it's very rare for that to happen. You graft it through, but you've made you've been in the right places. You're constantly, that you need to connect with people.
Yes.
And lots of people don't even know that.
Yes.
You know, they think
Yeah.
they go smile and hopefully, someone's going to ask me. Someone's going to ask me. No, you have to. And
actually, before I did the actual gig, I spent a lot of time contacting people that worked in production, and I was always drawn to like the funny side of like telly. But I would get on to people and ask them if they would meet me for coffee, and ask them for advice.
Yes,
and I'd say I probably did that with 20 people.
Yeah. Oh no, I think you have to.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So how do you get that's you're 29, obviously where you're at today.
Yeah.
Obviously you've crafted, what you do so well. But when does it, like we talked about COVID earlier, and like in 220, I think that's when I first discovered you actually.
Yeah.
And the normality of you.
Okay, yes.
And the fact that I could completely resonate with everything that you were talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's how, and I think that's what people see in you.
I think a lot of people probably found me during COVID. Yeah, so from like 29, I was gigging, then just nonstop, trying to get better spots, get a paid spot, all this. And I was making videos online probably kind of sporadically because there just wasn't the same focus around content then. And this was still on Facebook. Like I remember it was a case of if you put out a video a week, you were kind of doing good.
Yes.
And nobody was really talking about social media. I was probably one of the few stand-ups that took any interest in social media, but I liked to make stuff. And say now, I would have been like doing little kind of guest bits on Republic of Telly or Bridget Name. And that was kind of the only place you could go for like comedy acting or whatever. Like that was kind of it. So I got little guest bits on that. And then... I was still kind of making videos. And it was during lockdown then I just kind of probably started making more videos, or like the videos I was making, I could do them around topics that so many people could relate to because we were all kind of living the same thing.
Yes.
And then all these people just found you. But it was like, sometimes people would say, even comedians, it'd be lovely to have another little lockdown where you'd have all eyes on what you were doing, because now like you might be trying to tell people you have a show coming up and the algorithm.
Instagram, the algorithm is
exactly. Whereas like nobody
had no choice with like
nobody had any concerns with the algorithm and lockdown. So I think because because I could see people were enjoying it so much, because I suppose when you think back to lockdown, it's not like I was thinking, oh, this is going to be great to like a safe proof my career. Or like, because you're kind of thinking like, I didn't even put on shows during lockdown, like to kind of, here's the tickets ready to go when we come out of lockdown. Because I was kind of thinking like, God, are people going to want to go to shows?
Yeah.
Are people going to, because like comedy is all about, like it works best with comedy when, and the space that it's done in does make such a difference. It works best when it's like low ceilings and people are cramped in and it's dark. Because then you're not worried about if the person beside you is judging you because you're laughing at this dark bit or, and it's good to have a bit of like, anonymity with the darkness and whatever. And then if the ceiling sound travels, lovely, all that anyway. But I'm like, are people, I don't know if stand-up comedy is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Do you know?
We didn't know anything, did we?
And then as well, like another reason why, like say before lockdown, why I would have started making videos was because I really wanted to make stuff, but I could see that television had totally changed. And that like, say when I did that audition, that would have been probably just the end of unknown people getting on telly. So now I would be an unknown person. And I feel like, well, I'm doing it for, there's got to be some people that know me, but the scale of being unknown now is completely different. Whereas like, they used to have these like pilot things that they would do around Christmas time where you get like a one-off episode of something. You wouldn't get that now. No. Or like it'd be very unusual now to get like a series that was just on RTA. It would usually be a scripted thing. It would usually be RTA in collaboration with the BBC.
Yes.
You know, like you would never get a script. It's like it'd be very rare to get a scripted thing made by RT that would go straight on. There'd be bits on RT Player and stuff, but you know, and I could see that was changing and there wasn't any panel shows or whatever. So I was like, right, I'll just have to make my own bits.
But I think that's what I love about the landscape now is, you know, I go home and I say to my husband, what are you watching? He's always watching programs on YouTube or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And that's how he watches now. Yeah. And people, everything's just completely different.
Yeah.
But I think it's harder sometimes for people to have pivoted into that. And you did that very well.
And I'm crap at, I'm not naturally someone who's interested in social media at all.
Yeah.
Like when I was in college, it was BeBelle.
Yeah.
Was the thing. And I think we might have even had a project where set up a BeBelle account for a band or, you know, something like that. And then everyone had a BeBelle account. And I remember saying to my friend Ashton, I was like, do you want to look after my BeBelle account? Like, this is my personal BeBelle account. I had no interest in social media. I had no interest in like posting all the photographs on Facebook. I didn't even join. I joined Facebook very late. The only reason I joined Facebook was because I was in an admin job, and I thought maybe I could entertain myself with like being responsible for when they have events, them getting filmed and getting pictures and stuff. This is what and then they were like, oh, let's set up I said, let's set up a Facebook page. And I tried to set up a Facebook page for this business without having my own one.
Okay.
It's very complicated.
Can't do it.
Yeah, you can, but it's really, really hard. So, and it's kind of Facebook trying to get you to have a personal account linked to it. I had to do that. That was the only reason I went on Facebook. No interest in it whatsoever. So I learned, and like even now, I mean, stuff that I film, it's not I cracked Samson.
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And my first videos, I didn't know how to edit. So I'd literally just record and do everything in one shot.
Yes. But I always say, I work with a lot of, businesses, and I always say to them, if you don't know how to edit, don't edit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
and then you kind of
complicate it for yourself.
You get better at like even just little things of like, I didn't have a tripod, so I just literally would put the phone down on this little ledge in my kitchen because I was like, I can't, it's not, feasible for me to be filming with somebody, like pulling in favors all of the time. I was like, I'm going to have to film stuff myself if I have an idea or whatever. And then you would get better at like, right, well, there's a big light shining behind my head. What if I move around or, close that blind or whatever it is. And then I think it, like say some comedians, they used to say to me, they'd be kind of like, oh God, what if I put up something that doesn't do well? I was like, but you do jokes all the time where you try it out on stage and you just go, oh. I'm like, well, no, that you have to, that's what you have to do. You have to, don't get me wrong, I am just telling jokes and making silly videos on my phone, but you have to be like, there has to be a part of you where it wants to create and do the process, not about what the result will be. Yeah. Because a lot of the time, like I've had videos that have not done well and they're still my favourite videos.
Well, did you see Instagram yesterday announced that you can actually put it up and test it before you show it on your feed.
Oh, really?
Which is actually quite scary. However, I say to everybody, go and do it because they love it when you try something new of theirs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But that's interesting. But actually, that's even putting a stamp on.
Yeah.
Would you delete it if it didn't do well? And I think that's a bit sad. Like yourself, I think you should have some that don't do well and do well. But the younger people get really scared by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas when you get older, you're like, I couldn't give a shit.
I couldn't give a shit, yeah. Or like, I've made so many videos and put up so many things now. I don't care. And I feel like I know people that say would have been very prolific in lockdown are now spooked by it.
Yes.
It's easy to get spooked by it because
it's that thing of letting it go.
Letting it go.
If you just have to let it go. It does what it does, and if you're entertained by it, then great.
Yeah, I think if
half the time I'm only talking to it because I've got no one else to talk to.
I know, and a lot of the time, like the video is because I have an idea that I want to try out.
Yeah,
and a lot of the fun is trying the idea.
Absolutely,
and putting it up. And now I've had some ideas that they've been videos. And then they've actually later on, they've developed and they've turned into stand-up bits or vice versa.
Absolutely.
Or, so I just feel like...
I love that.
You can't take it too...
No, but seriously. You take it as you take yourself. And if you take yourself too seriously, then you're in trouble anyway. So,
Yeah, and I feel like, if you're going to make something, even a video on your cracked saxophone. But if you're going to make something, you have to like, that's me making something.
Absolutely.
It's not like...
Just have fun.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So listen, right. We have to finish up.
I know, sorry, waffling
You're
on.
grand. But I always get the person before to leave a little question.
Oh, yes.
So I haven't actually read
that.
it. In fact, I haven't got the glasses.
Let's see.
So this is your question.
Oh, do you have any regrets?
Oh.
No, I don't have any regrets because I feel like I wouldn't have got, if I could go back and change anything, I don't feel like I would have gotten
where you are today.
Yeah, because even like I was thinking there the other day, I was very hard on myself when I had Ella, not probably because I was a single parent or whatever, but I really neglected friendships or like taking time away to go and spend time with friends.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us do that. And I'm like, do I regret that? But then at the same time, when I started doing stand-up, I actually needed to be quite disciplined because you do give up a lot. You sacrifice your social life. So it's kind of like, well, would I change that? No, because it was actually good. I actually needed to do that then because that became my social life then.
Well, I'm really glad you did. And I'm really glad I found you. And I'm really glad to have had this conversation today because it's so nice to really understand where someone comes from.
It's so lovely to chat to you. You're so warm, gorgeous,
thank you.
it.
Well, I can't wait, and good luck with the rest of your tour. I can't wait to see you in March down in Cork, and I promise to teach you a Pilates class.
This has made me so excited.
Brilliant. I can't wait. Amazing. Thank you,
on Instagram.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to this week's BeBelle podcast. Don't forget, you can find us on social media. If you've got any questions, then please don't hesitate to DM us at BeBelle_wellness. You can also find this on our YouTube channel, which is my YouTube channel, Sian Horn. And don't forget, the more people that subscribe, the better that we can make this pod. So don't forget, like and subscribe across all channels. And thank you.